The Utah Jazz just put an absolute masterclass and masterpiece, a Mona Lisa's Magnus Opus type season for their franchise. I am not a Utah Jazz fan personally, but I just think that their season is extremely underrated, and I think that they literally have set themselves up perfectly going into the future. And I think from their offseason, from their regular season, to even where they are now and the things they can do going forward, I just think they literally could not have asked for a better season after everything that happened with them. So I'm just beginning to all that in this video, and I just really want to start with their offseason, and obviously the biggest move being the Rudy Gobert trade, which is probably one of the most lopsided trades since we traded a WNBA player for a literal terrorist, okay? Like, this is that level of a bad trade, okay? Looking back on it, it just gets worse and worse and worse as time goes on, as they traded Rudy Gobert for Walker Kessler, who is basically just a younger, better, cheaper version of himself, and they also were able to get 5 first-round picks out of it and 1 pick swap in 2026, and that is extremely valuable. Now, they only got 4 in the original trade, but then they traded Malik Beasley and Jarrett Vanderbilt and got a first for it, so I'm counting that as well. So they were able to get 5 future firsts, a pick swap for the better pick, and a younger version of the player they traded. You literally cannot get more lopsided than what they were able to do. And obviously, like we have seen, even from the Timberwolves' point of view, although they gave up a lot, Rudy Gobert has not been working out great as of late for the team, as he has thrown more punches and blocked shots in the play-in games so far. So it has been a very rough stretch for that trade, and like I said, it just gets worse and worse the more you look at it for the Timberwolves, but it also gets better and better the more you look at it for the Utah Jazz. And then even just doing what we saw in the regular season, they got off extremely hot. They're, I think, the longest lasting undefeated team for a very long time. They were the number 1 seed in the West very early on. Now, obviously, they weren't able to keep that level of play up, but they were still able to do extremely valuable things. They showed that they can be competitive with their current roster, and they also established Lauri Markkanen as a legitimate star-level player, as Lauri just played one of the best seasons we have ever seen, by far his best season for sure, and Lauri Markkanen established himself as the best player to come out of Finland, okay? Now, you might be asking, who was the best player out of Finland before, and it was Hanno Matolo. Who? Okay, and if you don't know who that is, well, you better get familiar, because he was an absolute beast. He played for 2 years, averaged 4.6 points per game, 2.8 rebounds per game on 0.63% from the three-point line and 44% from the field goal, okay? He was an extremely good player and an extremely close second when it comes to players out of Finland, but I would say Lauri Markkanen has kind of edged him out with this year, as he just went on average 26 points per game, 2 assists per game, 9 rebounds per game on 40% shooting from the three, 49% shooting from the field goal, and he also were able to get his first All-Star game as well. So I would say Lauri Markkanen established himself not only as a legitimate All-Star, but also the best player in his country pretty much ever. Actually, definitely ever, because the only other player, I didn't put him on here because I didn't know how to say his name, honestly. But I just think for sure Lauri Markkanen has really just had a historic season for himself and is only going to continue to get better and better as he gets more comfortable with the Utah Jazz as a franchise. And another thing that they were able to do during this regular season was the fact that they were able to develop their young talent that they have on the roster. As the 2 main ones that I want to get into is going to be Walker Kessler and Ochai Agbaji. I know I butchered his name, but I was high on both of them coming into the draft, and they both played extremely well. Now, Walker Kessler, obviously that's the one that everybody knows. He's one of the best rim protectors in the NBA already, and he's only a rookie. He's a great rebounder. He had better offensive game than people expected when he was coming in. He showed touch around the rim, and he just overall is an excellent player for the Jazz, and any team would love a guy that can just single-handedly lock down the paint with the length that he has and just the elite rim protecting and rebounding that he does provide for any team that he is on, and he projects to be an extremely good player for them for a very long time. And then also Ochai Agbaji, I'm sorry if I butchered his name again, he also had an extremely solid rookie season, as in the last 22 games of the regular season for the Utah Jazz, he was averaging 14 points per game, 2.2 assists per game, 3 rebounds per game, 87% from the free throw line, 34% from 3, and 40% from the field. So although he didn't have a great one or anything the entire time, he did have stretches where he played very, very well, and he really didn't get an opportunity to the later half of the season. Now I think next year he's going to get a lot more opportunity and a lot more run, and he should be able to show all the potential that he has as well, and the development that they both got for playing as much as they did and playing in this season should go a very long way to going to their sophomore seasons. And one of the most exciting things about this roster and the potential of it is the fact that they can still easily add elite young talent, as they currently have the 9th best odds at the first overall pick and a 20.3% chance at a top 4 pick. And that is a stacked rookie class going into this year, so no matter where they pick, they should be at least have potential to add a very high level young guy because of how good this draft class is and how deep it actually is. And then on top of that, another one of their first rounders this year could also be a lottery pick if the Minnesota Timberwolves do end up losing in the play-in tournament. So they can potentially have 2 lottery picks, and then on top of that, another late first round pick from I think the New York Knicks or someone. So they are going to have 3 first round picks to add young talent to this already very young roster. And like we've seen, they do have a good eye for young talent, trading for Walker Kessler and Ochai Agbaji. So I think for sure they definitely are one of the better teams to be having this many picks going forward. And then even outside of just drafting, they have tons of assets to either develop, improve, or trade going into this offseason. As look at all the young guys they already have on this roster. They have guys like Jordan Clarkson, THJ, Rudy Gay, Chris Dunn, Kelly Olynyk, Colin Sexton, and they can either choose to keep them on the team because they're very good players, they can trade them away, they can try to develop them, they can do so many things with these players. They can put together great trade packages for another star, they can do so many different things, and I think that's what makes this team so exciting, because they're already a very competitive team as they are, they're a very young team as they are, and there's just so many ways they can get better and better and better, and I just think overall this season was a absolute masterclass put on by the Utah Jazz, and it deserves a lot more respect than they have actually been getting in the whole larger media circus that goes on every single year. But that's about all I wanted to say for this video, so I hope you did like the video, hit the like button and subscribe button. It would mean the absolute world to me, and I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah, blah.